because it's a rock-built dam. It's almost 22 feet high, and it's all rock from quarry. So I mean, it's not just a typical earthen dam, but they want to make sure it's stable before and they're going to put a couple $1 million bridge over the gap. So that's all going to cost money. Now, I want the dam modified and upgraded so that we can turn it on weekends and let that water come down a few feet. We can clean it out to the Little Cal River. It's about 13 miles downstream to the Little Cal River. And that would encourage people to be involved in canoeing and kayaking. But then again, they need to know how to swim. My wife is one of them that went to a school that didn't have a swimming pool. So she goes with me, but with all the life jackets on, going down the creek with all the trees hanging down, sometimes you don't get through too well. And then we run into log jams and beavers. There used to be more beavers around, but the coyotes, believe it or not, seem to have eaten all our beavers. And so that's part of the problem upstream too, because we have all the mud in the lake. And I've wandered around a little bit tonight on my topic, but having been here all these years, we can impact this community and really make it a pride of the south suburbs. And I think we need to work together. And I hope to work with the other aldermen, including Renee, and getting our community going in the right direction again. We've been stagnant for too many years, and we need it. We know the third airport's coming. I don't know if you've been out that way or not. It's 1/4 built. It's called Bolt Field, and it could be operational tomorrow because they're using it for private planes right now. And it's the governor. That's one thing that's not coming out of his budget. But we are all facing some drastic changes in our education and our communities, and we're going to have to really work together over the next couple of years because the finances are really drastic. So that's about what I have to say, and I hope you'll consider voting for me. I'm a write-in candidate. You have to write Chuck number 6, because this is the ward that I'm running for. Thank you.
Any questions for Chuck? Yes, sir.
Now, you're running for Perry State?
Yes, I am also running for Perry State College as trustee. I did it a couple of years ago. On the ballot. I figured Go ahead.
What is you gonna do about political contact when it comes to hiring and firing employees? Everybody that seems to be in either family or the politicians gathered, and the outside people that really need a job can't get a job, but the people that got jobs, they're retired from somewhere else, getting a pension, and they working now. And that gotta stop. What's your opinion about that?
I agree with you completely, but you know, that system is in our schools as well.
I know it is,
We
but
need
I'm talking about Perry State.
Absolutely. Well, I'm only going to be one vote, but I do think President Winfrey is very much, you know, a new kind of person we got over there. I communicate with her. She reads my emails like some of you do. I do think we have a rapport. Now, I'm only going to be one vote, but I do think civil service, and I do know some of the people you're talking about. And, you know, it's hard to retire, but
I know you're a big talker, you bring it to their attention.
Absolutely, and I want to see more part-time people working over there, because their budget didn't get cut.
Right.
There are a lot of needs for part-time people, and we need to get more seniors involved, because they have a lot of experience.
Yes.
Over there on 26th Street, you're talking about the dam over there. At the silt is filling in the dam, approximately leaving about a foot or 2 foot above water surface.
Well, it's about 11 feet deep, so
11 feet
with
deep.
mud, yes.
Now, if you dredge the minerals out of the ground that's been recharged, can that be resold as a profit?
It's pretty costly. First off, water, there's no microbes in the water, they all drown. It's like when a pond is out in the field and floods for a while, the soil is not very valuable anymore. So, I mean, there is silt there, but they actually designed it so that they're gonna let the stream meander through there and gradually let that wash downstream, because we need that silt. It's part of the health, part of a stream. So, but that's where I'm saying they can redesign the dam to allow the silt to move through gradually. They don't necessarily have to eliminate the lake, which was built and paid for by the local residents. Half of that dam and the project was paid by the people in Boone Township. Sorry about that.
Now, is there another way of recharging that lake to make it more feasible material out of there?
You know, at this point, it's up to them. They got the grants. The Forest Preserve just says, we'd like to see it removed because we don't want to spend the money. They cleaned it in 1950, drained it all out. You can read about that and see. But it filled up with mud 10 years later, and it's been worse than that. And so unless we can fix the upstream area, which is a 1,000-acre nature reserve, and there's no beavers there, unless we can get the beavers to come back and you can get some wolves out there to take care of the coyotes, we got some projects ahead of us. So we gotta work together, because you know, Illinois, in January 1st, wolves now are protected, and also bobcats.
Now, I can vouch for Will Field because I'm only about a mile away from the airport up there.
Yeah.
And there is major helicopter activity and training out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it has existing, we have jets out there, but you don't see them because it's all barricaded around.
Right.
But there's a rumor that it is going to be airport or not going to be airport.
Well, it's been coming out recently, the money's not being stopped for finishing that project, and it's a big investment already. But we also have helicopters over where you used to live. Paul, by the way, is one of the homes in Glenwood that was abandoned as a result of flooding. Our canoe club used to hang out there and keep our boats there, because we always had plenty of water around his house. And it was usually in his basement, too.
Any other questions? Yes.
I'm new to Chicago Heights. I haven't been here for a race for the ward people. Do we only get to vote for our ward aldermen, or do we get to vote for all the wards? Like, how does that work?
Okay. We have aldermen, and an alderman, you only can vote for your particular ward. In the
Okay.
case of a trustee, you vote for, it's the top three, if there's 3 seats open. That's the kind of system that Fort Heights has, and I invited the trustees to come over here tonight, because they need some publicity, and their library system is dysfunctional, and that's why I meet with them and their mayor, and I have try to help them solve the problem. But my vision is that Fort Heights is gonna become part of Chicago Heights. Now, one other aspect which I explained is the public transportation corridor is more likely gonna be down I-394. We've had 2 train stations designed here for 15, 20 years. That will never happen, because now we got heavy freight on these lines, and there's no chance for passenger service. So if Chicago Heights is gonna indeed be in on the transportation thing, it's to their benefit to absorb Fort Heights, and we need to work on our council and our thinking about that. But that's a good point.
Yes, ma'am.
How long a candidate has to be living in Chicago Heights in order to fill up a petition? Because I tried to run for a park district or for some kind of office by next election. Because he lived in Chicago Heights for 12 years or more than 50. And he's a very well known in the Spanish community. Everybody say, hi, hola, ¿cómo estás? And you know, how long he has to?
It's in the election code. I think you gotta be a resident for 3 months or 6 months. It's not a long time, but I know when you ran for the school district as well, and I think you went through the pre-election war games, I call those things. That's when they knock people off the ballot for not putting a number on the bottom of the page and all the other baloney that goes on. You know, we got good people willing to go out and walk door to door and get signatures, and then you throw them off the ballot. This is the kind of things that I'm against, and we need to fix these things. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of things would you be looking for in your campaign for the Prairie State trustee? I mean, what would be your agenda if you were elected?
Well, okay, and the role of a trustee is really not to have an agenda, but to work with the other trustees on common vision problems, because the trustees are up there at the upper level, and I think some of the things Leon reported about the political issues, I think that's changed somewhat, because I do think, from my understanding, like their sustainability coordinator and his professors, they vet them properly, they advertise nationwide. So they're doing it at that level. Now, whether or not the police department and the service people are treated the same way, I would certainly like to see that, and it should be throughout the whole university, and I think it will be. It's just a matter sometimes of exposing the issue. So mainly, you can get put down and probably kicked out by the other board members if you're talking about things that are in, when they go into executive session, you cannot release that information until everybody agrees. So, that might be a little bit challenging for me. But anyway, I do think transparency.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it? Okay, thank you.
I think there was a question here before I go over there. Did you? Okay, go ahead.
With Chicago Heights being known as the crossroads of the nation, we're going to have the Crosstown Express coming through, which would be probably south of here, assumingly if it does get completed.
The Oleana Expressway?
The Indiana-Illinois Expressway.
Right.
And what, as a former transportation commissioner, as you were, what possibilities does Chicago Heights have to improve logistics to this, or will we benefit from this transportation system, besides the train that we projected already?
I think it's an excellent question, and I'm not an expert, although I am the first highway commissioner that ever went through administrative training, which is 2 weeks of intensive training, and that's something, even as an alderman, you'll have a chance to get trained on your duties, so look forward to it. Now, the work you're doing is all worthwhile, and you just gotta be made through it on election day, but as trained in the duties of a highway commissioner, that's when I discovered that the highway commissioner was sort of king of his fief, and of course the supervisor over there didn't like that, and he thought I was his, whatever, bring the coffee type. I don't want to insult anybody, but it was one of those issues. But so I had my own town meetings, and I just went to their meetings to get information, but they don't tell me what to do. I actually passed an ordinance giving people a reward for dumping, and if you go out and take a picture of them, you're going to get a reward if we catch that person. So you take your camera and you get a $25 reward for turning that person in. So I mean, that's in existence in Boone Township, but that was an exciting 4 years for me, because I also could not get people. I hired people that were veterans, and these are the pledges that I made in my campaign, and I followed through on it. And some of them have done much better than I ever anticipated. And I had to take half of my salary at the time to pay for their tuition. And they went to Prairie State College and other places, but that was part of the package. Even though the trustees would not let me modify the budget, we did it anyway. And that's the kind of person I am. I'm determined to follow through on things.
And Chuck, he asked you to address the benefits or the liabilities of the Oleana Expressway.
All right, I'll go a little bit more on that, and I did, thank you. I do think it should not be a state of Illinois or a tollway function. I think it should be a federal function. Interstate highways are federally funded by 80%. And if it becomes a tollway, it's just gonna not eliminate the problem we have over here on 80. It's gotta be a real bypass. Now, Cincinnati and all the other, Indianapolis, everybody else has these belt lines. And the federal government will wake up sooner or later and pay for that airport. So, I mean, it's fine to work out the route, but I don't think that's gonna become ours or Indiana's responsibility. It's gotta be part of the interstate highway system, so that's where I stand on it.
Is that satisfactory? Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, Renee, I'd like to ask you to come back up, and both of you be up here. You can have a seat, and if there are any other questions or comments that people have for either or both candidates, we'll take questions for up to 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay. I didn't plan on going past 9 o'clock, but that's all right. We don't have, I'm the custodian, so don't worry about it. I just kidding.
Any other questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, yes, go ahead.
Do we know what the percentage of young people that vote in Chicago Heights? Does anybody know anything about the statistics?
Of the population?
Of the population of Chicago Heights, young people like, let's say, over 25 that vote?
No, I don't, that's.
10%, 20%?
It's not too good of a turnout. This election may be exciting though, because of what's going on in Chicago. I think this could be an exciting election. I really think we're talking about, and if the weather, they always used to say if it rains, it'll be a low turnout. Well, I think this might overcome
What
those.
about overall voting, not just voters in general? How much percentage?
Chicago Heights we've been treated, I call it the mushroom syndrome. We've been never really involved. I feel we're treated as mushrooms, and I think we have to overcome that. And I'm a veteran, and I think we don't right now even have a VFW, and I've signed up to form a new one that would meet in the library, but we haven't kicked it off yet. we need to re-energize the forces that are here to take back Chicago Heights and make sure it works for us, and then we need to rebuild Chicago Heights. And I've listed some of those things. Right now, the population is equally divided, Hispanic, white, and minorities as far as black goes. And I don't know why we couldn't absorb, I'm sure we got over 600 empty homes. You say you got half of them over there. But I know there's 150 or more up in this ward. I haven't gone around counting them, but I think it's close to 600 or 700 homes. So I mean, easily, the other reason I wanted to consider relocating the population from Fort Heights is not only do they cost us all this money for water, and we can't fix their water system because it's a different community, but we're paying for that water. We have $1 million investment almost right now, and we're suing them, but you don't get blood out of the turnip, first off. And we're suing them for that money that they owe us because the water comes through us, and then we have to pay for it because it's lost through the lines that freeze. They are built on the same rock that the Ford plant is built. And they dig down a foot or two in the ground and they got rock. You can't keep pipes from freezing under those kinds of situations and breaking. So that's why we're getting stuck with all this water.